There you go.
Wrong.
Okay.
We got 3 minutes. Did you move that screen or did that do it by itself?
Oh, it did it by itself. Cool.
Okay.
Did we scare you with the time?
Oh.
No, this is on YouTube.
Okay.
It's still on the agenda, it's Sharon Jane. That's
So who knows how to run it? You and you just do. Or was that? We had instructions for repair. How's she going for it?
And
Yeah.
Middlebury, yeah.
You can sit right up here. You could be one of our meeting days, it's our first night with our.
It doesn't.
We're trying to get fancy.
Tonight's the test run, everybody.
Yeah.
We got everything set up. Nice.
Well, if it works.
The best part of it is the sheriff is left.
I'd see you probably. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
still getting it Zoom.
Okay.
You actually doesn't. I mean, I wanted to change all the settings so you can allow me to pay this.
Or can you do board efficiency report online? You submit it online. You can, I
Well,
mean, a note, and it goes.
Well, just
Okay.
record it.
And then you send it. So, in a way, you can, okay. I didn't know, I just, I know you can get them.
I'll play with it. This meeting maybe. I'll leave it open.
So people will be able to see this.
Not live, I can't, I don't. The agenda's the way on, I can. Okay.
Must be.
Information.
Most of the people.
Of course, yeah.
Nobody wants to sit there, we're all. We're expecting. Are we ready? Oh, yes. Yeah.
Printing our minutes is like,
Yeah. Okay, it is 5:30. 2023, I'm going to call this regular town board meeting for the town of order. Roll call vote, or roll call, Mike Anderson. Here. Timmy Baxter.
Here.
Susan Brennan.
Here.
Samantha Dobson. Staffson. And Glenn Carlson is here. We also have our clerk, Mikhail Montaigne, our town administrator, Mark Kupta, and our public works director, Ben Schramp, is back there, as well as audience members of the public. And that leads us to public comment A. Is there any public comment of 1 minute or less? Go ahead.
I have a public comment from John Carlson, submitted via email. On July 28, 2022, I sent an email to all the town board members and the town administrator and the town clerk, referring to the town dock in Fayetteville. This was the first time that I had seen the water coming through the seam. Apparently others had seen it before. I had asked them during the next meeting that this be looked into, and now almost 11 months later, the town board is getting a response. Before this, it was almost 6 months before the town board got the town administrator to follow up on things still not done on the fire hall. As a taxpayer, this kind of lack of follow through is unacceptable. What would the board's response be if the warranty would have ended last September? Please keep this in mind since you will be doing his review. Thanks, John Carlson.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to move up 5B1, Arts Committee, and 4C3. The next for minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. I guess it will be in that order. Okay. And so we're going to move up the Public Arts Committee, and then after the Public Arts Committee, it will be the field of discrimination on industrial lots 4 and 5. So that's the motion. It's been seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we will move to item 5B, Public Arts Committee, temporary art on pavement of Michael Top Road and on county sidewalks. And there had been, this was on the meeting agenda for our last meeting. And there was some question about our ability to regulate content and this kind of thing. So we postponed it until tonight. Everybody should have received a memo from addressing some of the issues that we raised. And so that brings us to here tonight. Did the Public Arts Committee have anything you'd like to add?
Yes, please. So my name is Abby Rupp. I'm here representing the Public Art Committee. And we wanted to outline the idea further for you so that we can welcome your questions and hopefully define the parameters of the project more. We are still in the research phase of this project, so we want to make sure that we have the appropriate green lights before we plan any events further. So the way I see it, this project has 2 parts to it. One is an event that would create temporary chalk art. And that was what we had discussed in the previous meeting behind Tom's. We close down that small section of the street for the day or part of the day and invite the public to participate in a sidewalk poetry event. And so what that would look like is we would provide the materials for people to write poetry in that part of the town. This is a project adapted from the City of St. Paul's sidewalk poetry project. And there's 2 parts to it. So after this part where we do temporary artwork, it would hopefully evolve into permanent sidewalk poetry. And what that looks like is when new pavement needs to be put in the city, 1 block of pavement would be like 1 page of a book. And a poem would be chosen by usually a jury to be permanently placed on that sidewalk. The reason we are exploring this idea is because the island has wonderful visual art, But one type of art that doesn't get a lot of social space out in public is figurative mood. And so we wanted to provide an opportunity to explore that further on the web. So I welcome any questions that you have and any comments as well that will help us refine this idea further.
Thank you. Any questions from?
I've got it. So when you say close down, like, you say close down Michael Cadott Street.
Yeah.
Okay, so if there's a fire or an ambulance call or emergency something, then and a fire truck has to get back there, like we have the ponies in the back catches fire or something.
Sure.
What happens then?
That's a great point. We would have to figure out how to alert people to quickly move out of the way and make sure that the fire truck can get through. We could also explore an area that wouldn't need to be a thoroughfare for emergency services, if that is a concern.
Well, that would be my concern, if an emergency, whether it be an ambulance or a fire truck or whatever, if an emergency vehicle had to get back there for a reason, and you guys were in the way and blocking the street, and they couldn't do it, we'd look pretty foolish, being in the daily press and the headlines, someone moved down because we blocked the street.
That's an excellent point.
And is this open, like, for everyone? I guess where my thoughts go is in the world we live in right now. There could be something that maybe was written in a poem that didn't represent Madeline Island. What do you have in place to dance and walk around that?
Sure, so and you're talking in terms of the temporary artwork?
Well, and having it become permanent.
Sure. So anything permanent would certainly go through a process of approval.
That part of it.
Yeah. The temporary artwork, we would hopefully have some helpful guidelines for people to follow about the type of work that we would hope to provide a platform for. So oftentimes these events in the Twin Cities are held around a theme, and that helps kind of define a little bit further what people are looking for, but also the medium that we would use we watch really wide. So if we really had some significant umbrage, we are not tied to keeping it there.
There'll be a monitor, no ways offensively.
I think everyone on the public art committee would be present in order to facilitate the event.
What I'd be concerned about is like, if you say that you would have people, that would approve or disapprove of what was put there. My point would be whether or not we do it as representatives of town. If we approve of it, you could say something politically that you might agree with, but we might say, no, absolutely not. But then it's too late. It's already there.
But it's stuck.
That's what I'm saying. If we know about it ahead of time, then you guys, if we say, okay, if that's what you're gonna do, that's fine, and then they do it. I mean, I wouldn't want, I'm saying I don't want to find out after the fact. I don't want to find out that you guys approve of something. You might say we hate Donald Trump, and there might be 90% of the island that agrees with you, but we don't. I mean, maybe we're not. Why don't you go?
I think because we're asking people for poems, I wouldn't expect to find just overt political phrases, and hopefully if we have clear guidelines as to what we're talking about, and maybe it's something as the man is like, please write a poem about summertime. That will hopefully help, guide people in a good direction. If we are really concerned about censoring what people want to write, I would say that we could ask people to submit poems in advance. So it would kind of take the magic out of the moment, I think. What I hope for is an opportunity for kids to write and to draw pictures, to get community to be involved, but we could ask people to submit poems in advance. And then if we approved of their chalk poems, then they could write them on the day of.
Are you going to know ahead of time? Let's just say that some kid came up with a poem and it was a good poem. And you said, you thought, okay, well, that's a good poem. Now you're going to see that first before they write it?
That hadn't been our intent. No, the intent was to have a day where people could express themselves on site without people getting any pre-approval, because we know we could wash away anything offensive if we had to do that. Now, for the permanent works, we would certainly have an extended approval process and would invite whomever wants to participate in that approval process and a jury to participate in that as well. But the goal would not to be to use these like yard signs, but as an opportunity to have art displayed. That's in the right word.
Well, and also in our with our foundation and stuff, when we form the committee, we have guidelines for public art too, and we can make sure that that is out there. And it's about wording, it's about offensive language, it's about all this kind of stuff. And we can make sure that people are aware of that before.
But well, I mean, I'm not gonna be the only one to speak, but what may not be offensive to you may be offensive to someone else.
Yeah, but
And
if we had a subject and you say that doesn't, not that doesn't really go with the subject here, you know. Erase that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I'm concerned about after the fact, you know, we find out after it's already been out there and people have seen it and observed it and we're offended by it or whatever. You could say, well, yeah, we watched it off, but too late. People have already seen it, you know? That's my concern.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Anybody else have any questions? You know, there was some comment I heard that, you know, perhaps if you also got permission from the adjacent property owners, that may provide some additional shield for the town to not have to have not allow anybody who wants to do anything on any town sidewalk or street to be able to do that in the future. Just because we've allowed, and the Public Arts Committee is a branch of the town, I mean, it's an official committee. And so I think that my concern, Mike, is not really so much the day, you know, that particular thing. It's by allowing anyone, even a committee of the town, maybe particularly a committee of the town, to express First Amendment, you know, art, that we would have to allow anyone. And so I think if we could have something that's a little additional protection for the town to not be in that position, and perhaps, again, you know, having as part of your requirements that you have to get, whether it's on a sidewalk or whatever, in addition to the town's permission, the permission of the any adjacent property owner, I think might be helpful. I'm not a lawyer, but
When the kids did the stencils, I mean, they did those on the sidewalks.
yeah, and they got permission from the adjacent property owners on that. And so there is somewhat of a precedent for that. And if that was the understanding that we could have with the Public Arts Committee, I would be supportive of going forward with this proposal. Would that be something your committee you think would be able to incorporate in their guidelines?
Absolutely, yes.
Does that seem to make sense to you?
Your call. I have no opinion on this.
Okay. What do people feel? Is there
Well, I agree with what you said, and I'll also stand by the emergency vehicles. If they have to get in there, they don't have time to be moving stuff and shuffling around. I mean, if there's a fire or an ambulance call or whatever, I mean,
you'll have people during the whole day that this is going on?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion from anyone to approve their proposal?
I think,
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the proposal with understanding that they'll get permission from adjacent landowners. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion?
are you gonna rate that like you did bylaws or something?
Guidelines?
Guidelines?
Right, guidelines, and would you like those to be presented to you, all this before? When we pick a date or whatever, we can go and we'll bring it to you.
Yeah,
Sure, that would be great, but I think, you know, it sounds like,
To go ahead and
Go
start.
ahead. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is, we're moving to,
Course, we do.
thank you. And that is an appeal from, termination of, just leases 4 and 5. Kathy, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Well, the reason that I kind of knew this all off is I had an uncle that died 5 days before Christmas. And there was some really unsavory characters that were kind of like claiming they were living in his house. And they were stealing all sorts of stuff. They stole a car. We had to get them out of there. There was no will, so my sister and I have been having to deal with an estate that we didn't even know all what was going on. One of the unsavory characters actually threw away all my uncle's paperwork. We just happened to show up the day before garbage day once, drug back in 15 bags of garbage, go through it all just to find all my uncle's paperwork and stuff. So we've been having to deal with just the estate, and then this unsavory character, his whole deal with trying to claim all my uncle's possessions and his accounts and everything like that. His girlfriend stole one of his cars, and we've been trying to do a replenishment action on that. And that turns out is not fast. That's many times to a courthouse also. And then we had another completely separate group of characters break into the house, steal a whole bunch of stuff, take another car of my uncle's, and just rampage around town, destroying things and destroying the car and everything. So now we're dealing with that too. So I've been in and out of the Adams County Courthouse and in and out of the town of Adams pretty much every couple of weeks or a week and a half or so since December. So I had been putting all of my energies and, mental kind of stuff in that, and I had just kind of blown off the whole island thing because that was just taking up so much. And I did not mean to, do what I did with the not paying lease lots.
So in other words, you still want people on.
Yes, yes. That wasn't.
Have you paid yet?
I have not. Because I got that eviction notice and I'm like, well, I can't really pay if they're evicting me, so. I would like to do at least one more year so I can start getting rid of all that stuff.
Do we have a process, do we have like a written process when somebody gets one of those lots? Does it say what happens if you don't pay? I mean, that's,
The only way to terminate a lease is if someone violates the conditions of the lease, and non-payment is one of the conditions.
so you wrote this letter and that's pretty much, the eviction, right?
And I didn't, since
I
I was,
mean, for the record, Scott would still owe the money, whether he keeps the lots or not.
Right.
I mean, he's been on the lots for 6 months.
You know that, right?
yeah,
Okay.
One of the things that, so you are prepared if the town grants you an extension payment to, say, tomorrow,
yeah,
that you're prepared to make that payment.
Yes.
And you also want to at least renew for another year.
at least for this year that we're currently in.
We would obviously, if that's the case, we would need to have another lease with you. And I think that it would not be, obviously the same 10-year term that you currently have. And I think that there are some other conditions that we'd want to make sure that if there are licenses that you're required to have to maintain what kind of operation you have out there, that you would get anything from the DNR that you need, and work with Michael that make sure that the town is frankly in compliance with the DNR.
When the DNR guys were here, I didn't really get the impression that they thought I was wildly out of compliance. It was basically just storing complete vehicles and some, smaller items. extract money and stuff like that.
It also says in this letter that you failed to provide a current certificate of insurance. So
Yeah, that's,
working on that.
yeah, I apologize for that too.
You'll be able to also produce that.
I will get that, yes.
And one more thing, like, do we have, like, it takes time for you to write this up and, like, do we have a late fee if somebody, like in this case, Scott, leave it off? And
We have nothing, in the lease that incorporates any fee for anything or anything like that.
maybe we should. I mean,
We can only, I mean, we can only do that with the lease when we have new leaseholders. So in this case, because Scott's leases have expired, it's a blank slate, I mean, we are able to write a one-year lease if that's an agreement we come to. But otherwise, the leases are essentially renewable automatically.
Yeah, and I think that that is one of the things that Michael Cook and I did talk about, that just in general, having these leases be renewable at the option of the lessee, with no approval of it again, is probably not in best public interest. Because you could have 100 years go by and the town would never, be able to do anything, even if they found that what you were using it for wasn't consistent with what they wanted to see that property used for. So, are there any other comments on this? I mean, personally, I'm sorry that you have had these personal issues. Appreciate you coming tonight to make your case. I think that as far as I'm concerned, I'm willing to have Michael draft a one-year lease that you can perfect. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to reinstate Scott Barrett's lease with the town with the 1-year extension. And you want, what, a year, you said?
Yeah, I have to stop giving the town money to store that. I spent like $15,000 now to store a bunch of dead vehicles. That's insane. I gotta stop doing it.
Yeah, through the end of this year.
To the end, yeah.
I'll second.
And I mean, I've heard based on conditions of insurance and payment and those kind of things.
Yeah, if he's in compliance with with everything that we request.
And so it would be good for the record for you to
Say that in the motion.
state what the conditions might be. And
To read-
obviously, a lease would come back for approval.
Reinstate Scott Barrett's lease for the remaining of 23,
Provided he pays.
providing he pays the, what's owed, and he provides certificate of insurance. What else do you need?
That's the basics, obviously, like I said, the lease would come back to you for final approval because it would be a new lease.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Okay.
So we'll be in touch.
Susie was asked if you wanted us to decide what.
That'd be great.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we use 4B number 1 for now.
Okay. So moved. Seconded.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. For the schedule for.
Okay.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries. So I think that Susie, had some conversation with Mike about, coming up with an arrangement. Did you want to say anything?
Yeah, to clarify, is this just dealing with grant attorneys or is there other circumstances in the town where you're also looking to put a permit process in place for?
I think as far as I'm aware, at this point, Grant Counties is the
Okay.
first and only, but it could very well be the precedent for other.
Okay, I know we had a conversation with you when the land was granted to the town, donated to the town. Robin Russell came and talked to me and
said they'd asked to have a deed restriction that would be allowed to use it. Town's attorney said that would not work. But their feeling was that they got from you was that this wasn't gonna be a big problem. And you came and talked to Gary and I and said, this is not, we love what you're doing here. That a lot of people are using the chairs and tables that aren't graphic to these customers. Even when we're closed for 2 days a week, it looks like we're open. So you seem to think that there wasn't gonna be a problem, and then Michael Kupcha came and talked to us, and the town wrote us a letter, which we honor, we clean the yard, we rake the yard, we do everything we can to stay amicable. And now it seems to have become a really big problem, and I don't know where it went off the track. I was hoping you guys could shed some light on that. I don't know what, I was originally told there was complaints. And I asked if we could sit down with whoever was complaining and work it out. And then I was told there is no complaints. So Michael came and saw me the other day and gave me this donation agreement memorandum, which to me is ridiculous. They want me to give my tables and chairs and my umbrellas to the town. Just donate them. And they can do what they want with them. They can move them. I have no control over them whatsoever. So that is not something that as a business, I would even consider doing. There are thousands of dollars worth of tables and chairs. So this to me was ridiculous. So we sat down and talked. And we talked about, I said, does the town have a permit policy in place? Like for the canoes at Big Bay or the kayaks that are rented out there, or Ed Keel running a business off of Joni's Beach? And he said, well, they don't rent them. And I'm sorry, but they do. People, they're running businesses. As Evan ran a business off the town park selling wood and had a camper out there for a long time. This is just the island way. Everybody just kind of does their thing, but it seems with Grandpa Tony's, it's a problem. I asked him about the kayaks again, and he said, well, you're making money. Now, what is the issue? Is that I'm making money and I'm doing business? Because honestly, guys, everybody that's talked to me, Glenn, everybody that comes to us goes, thank you for what you're doing out here. Thank you for the chairs. In fact, you guys did a dedication last year of the monument that was put up on the property. And the visitors that were there to watch the dedication took all of our tables and picnic tables and chairs. We had nowhere for our customers to sit, and we didn't say anything. We didn't ask anybody to move. We have been 110% community oriented. We give, when he came and saw me that day, I just wrote a check for fireworks. If there's an emergency at EMS and the guys have to stay out all night doing something, we supply pizzas and Gatorades, and we don't charge for it. I don't know where we have gone off the track that we are singled out on a regular basis. I mean, I don't know who in the room knows we sued the minute we opened our doors for this business, but I am not taking it anymore. I need some answers. And if someone in this room would just be honest with me, what is going on? Because yesterday we moved a table in front of the restaurant. We plan on moving the bigger table, which only half of these tables was on town property, half was on ours. We're gonna move it upstairs. We're gonna get completely off of town property. But that complete move will be the end of us doing anything donation wise for this town. The store needs to swing both ways. We give, we help every fundraiser on this island. The food comes through that restaurant and is stored in my freezers and taken in afterwards. And we thaw the night before and we donate a bunch of stuff. We could not be more giving. Where are we going off the track with you guys?
Thank you, Susie. Any other comments on this? I will say, I think that we did have a conversation a year and a half ago. I think I did say if those picnic tables were for public use and posted, people knew that they were public. But I didn't see a problem with that. But they're not posted as being available.
They're not posted, but they are used for public use. We don't control it. In fact, the other day was a table, a bunch of people got food at the beach club and drinks, and a lot of it was, you could see they packed a lunch. And they were sitting there eating at the big picnic table, like a family of 8 or 10. We don't go out there and say, hey, never. We have ice cream customers from Serena's come over. We don't say you have to, we don't monitor them at all. Because we like the look that gives the island. Older people come and sit and fall asleep and take a nap in between. I mean, it's a gathering spot, and those chairs are $30 a piece, and I go through probably 15 to 20 a summer. And that's out of our pocket.
Well, thank you. Any comments anybody has?
So this, I mean, this is news to me, so this came up because the Russells donated that land and it became town land. And the equipment, the tables or chairs or whatever, they're on Granite. I guess I don't understand.
Yeah,
Some of
they're
them.
on there. And Susie and I also talked about the chairs and that they were put away every night on.
And Michael and I talked about that too, and he was in agreement with the chairs.
Yeah, now I do have a little issue with your people putting them out every morning on the town park versus I think the original understanding was the customers were gonna move the chairs.
What's your problem with that?
It just is different than what you said.
There's so many roots around there, we don't want people taking on themselves and tripping over something.
Sure.
That to me is a liability reason that we do that.
As far as the charitable works that the Grant Tony's has done, I mean, that's very much appreciated. I and the town board cannot have the kind of arrangements where, well, we're not going to follow the rules because you guys have been nice to us. I mean, I can tell you that we had an issue come up with Arnie Nelson recently and the wind sleds, and he's like, well, I do so much. You should let me charge you for this. And it's like, no, that's not.
But you have been not following the rules. You've allowed kayaks and canoes out of Big Bay. You've allowed people to run businesses off the town beach.
The kayak people pay for those rentals.
Well, when I asked about permits, I said, can I have a copy of the permit fees? And he couldn't give me anything.
They're in.
So, first thing is I was misunderstanding with you, the private canoes are different from the corporate canoes. And so when you pointed that out to me, they pay upfront cost and then they pay per kayak or vessel, whatever you want to call it. So they are licensed or permitted to conduct business out of town park. No one had permission to run businesses out of Joni's Beach.
He's done it for years and nothing was ever
I
done.
know, I've been here for 2 years. You and I have had this discussion. I can't reverse what happened years ago, but no one had permission. And when violations took place at Big Bay Town Park, to say that we took care of it. So if you're moving your tables off of the park, then everything's settled. We've got nothing to worry about.
I'm not
The thing is,
sure.
we cannot allow under a couple of different ordinances and under common law, we cannot allow a business to run a bit on public property without some sort of permitting.
I don't.
And so you didn't want to donate it, it was just a suggestion.
It was a three-page legal document. It wasn't.
Gave it to you as to what it would look like.
It's a,
And so you didn't want it, that's fine, then we moved on to talking about fees, you said you would agree to a concept of a fee, with a permit fee and a per square footage. And that's what they're talking about tonight, that would set a standard or a marker for anybody else who wanted to do this, so you're not being singled out, you just happen to be the only ones. Conducting business on town.
So you're not in favor of this, you're not.
well, how would I be in violation of something that's never been put in
Okay,
place?
so I move that we defer action on this item. Is there a motion?
What is it? What do you?
We're not going to enact a fee because the people who would pay it aren't going to pay it. So why bother setting a fee, just have them. there's-
Well, Michael's point, and I agree with them, that if it's town property, regardless if it's McAvoy's or anybody, they can't do business on it. I mean, and otherwise we could have people selling ice cream out here, and when you guys mow, they could say, we're not moving our stuff.
Okay, so I think we've heard from Susie, this is very different than the conversation I had earlier, but, so you'll take your stuff off the town.
And I just to clarify, you do not have a policy in place, correct, that I'm in violation of?
You're on public property, yes. you
But
are.
there is no policy in place.
The policy is you're on public.
There actually is an ordinance in place that
Because I just wanted to get information.
private businesses cannot conduct business on public
I would
property.
like to see a copy of that. I
That's
appreciate it.
definitely there,
It's called the direct sellers ordinance. You can find it on our website.
sorry.
So I'm in violation, got it.
Okay,
And again, we let it slide for a year and hoping we can get
Stop.
something.
Stop.
all right,
You don't know my property, so.
What if there was a sign that said? By the public.
well, the chairs are fine. No, it's fine, the chairs. Okay, that's the fine.
Fine.
Okay.
That's fine, right, guys, it's not.
It'll be, yeah.
Okay, so I'll make a motion back to the original order.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We're taking the action on
Okay.
that. So it's back to where it was.
Sweet.
Okay. Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed, motion carries. We're now back to opening bids for the sidewalk installation and septic waste removal.
There are none for the sidewalk.
Okay.
In septic, there are two.
Okay.
The first is from Island Septic. Looks like there's a couple different fees for different pump outs, holding tanks versus, holding tanks are $135 per pump out. Portable toilets. At the Pocket Park and Caps are $120 each. And then the one at the cemetery, they offer two options. Like if the Island Septic owns it versus the town owns the unit. And I'll just leave it at that. And then the second is from the Point Gas. They will offer a rate of $120 per tank and also $120 per porta potty. Also interested in hauling a toilet off island. That's all it says at the bottom.
So 120 for holding tank.
Or 20 and 120 per porta potty.
Okay, and so. Administration will review these and come up with a recommendation.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is administrative reports, administrators report. Michael.
I think Michaela straightened out the AV system. That was gonna be a question, but I don't have it anymore. Well, we can go to YouTube, you've got like 6 meetings on there.
Yeah.
I did it before this meeting, if I can do it, everybody can do
I
it.
just have to square away the average of my.
I think we'll get that.
I had some comments on for Wisconsin Town Association, did you learn anything about? Did you learn anything from Wisconsin Town Association?
Oh, you mean?
Yeah.
I really.
No.
We got elected,
Yeah.
congratulations. Oh, why he's vice there? You showed up.
Anybody else?
I had a quick question, I kind of assume I know the answer. So, did you respond to, I couldn't see this. I'll just go by memory. So when you're giving updates to the Great Lakes Association about the housing.
Yeah.
What was that update you were requesting proposal, or, and also did any of them have things that were valuable that they shared that would make this an easier process, or comments on what we were doing?
No, it's really about half dozen islands to give updates on where they are. Trying to get affordable housing on their islands. And I basically just gave them the results of the needs assessment by Maxfield.
Okay.
Basically, the projection of how many housing units we need.
But it's like we're all in the same boat.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, even Mackinac Island, which has already built some, don't know how widely. Last year, something that Leah had sent.
Yeah.
So as you may recall, Mackinac Island built 12 units. Just to see what the demand was, they immediately built 12 more, and they have a waiting list of 33.
Right now.
So they are trying to build more than they've already. They have much more of an issue than we do.
Buildings.
Finding land and finding.
I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Works Director's report. Go ahead.
Here, all that land the town's got is quite a bit, you know, where the sand pile is, and people are parking the tree coming for XL parking. So do we charge for that? Just let them park there, now they're like half hours.
That should be done tomorrow. That was my understanding.
I mean, if people use that for a staging area to park their stuff, I think we should get a piece of pie.
Well, that's consistent with.
I mean,
conversations.
I'm just saying if it gets bad. I mean, it's not bad now, I walk my dog over there every day, so.
Where are you talking?
At the airport. There's a lot of land.
And big hangar lots. Filled up with stuff once a few years back. And the Zeelands guys are parking their truck there so they don't have to park it in the school lot. Makes sense to me, so.
It does make sense,
I'm
and
a board manager and I decided it was fine for a month. And then
Yeah.
I dumped wood chips there, which will be free to anybody.
yeah, I'm okay with it, it's just that I was wondering if the town got a piece of the pie, that's all.
Good question. Any other questions for them?
Were we charging them for the truck on the school lot?
Okay. Any other questions for Ben or supervisors report? Report managers report. My name is only administrators report.
I have a
Go
I
ahead.
have a question on this, and I actually did speak to Ed about this, but I'm going to ask you, Michael. So when I was looking at the short-term rental permits on the back page or front page,
Sure, front page.
I'm seeing that the in-pay no permits on here, is that correct?
No, this is a year-to-date comparison, and that, as you recall, Rick died about this time, so there was nothing reported. I mean, he was sick and then passed, and so there was nothing reported at this time in the database, so it's,
Okay,
there's no,
okay, because it's a
there's
year.
no
You
comparison.
answered that question.
from, you know, May to May, for example.
Thank you.
There's no-
Any other questions on planning and zoning administrators report? The county administrators report.
Okay, was she asking us a question on the RFP? Does the planning board want to meet with the auditors to discuss the,
If he is asking that, yes.
should we answer?
Last year, we had,
I
the Baker Tilly folks came up and gave a brief presentation. They have offered to do that again.
I like the book.
Want to,
No, but I'd like to get the book again.
Yeah, I'm open to that.
And they sent a whole box, so.
Okay, all right. Any other comments, questions on the planning and administrators report?
So we will tell Baker Tilly they can not take a vacation.
Yeah.
No, they don't need to make the trip, yeah.
After they've said they're gonna send the books.
Okay, police chief's report.
I have questions and I suppose I'll point to Michael. And you can address Bill or I see Bill. So, on the third paragraph, it says the state installed an approximator machine at the fire hall. So are they gonna, because you have to be a certified operator to operate that machine. So are the operators gonna be certified or what?
At least one of them has been.
Okay, so my opposition to this from the beginning is that if that officer is not here, because you're not supposed to, like, if I was working and I was the operator, I'm not supposed to run that machine myself. So how's it gonna work? If the other guy's off the island. I don't know, I've been in opposition to this from day one. And that's part of the reason I was in opposition. And then my other question is that it has to be calibrated and it has to be by a technician that's licensed by the state. So who's gonna do that?
My understanding, and you can clarify this, my understanding is they can do that remotely.
They don't have to come here?
No,
Okay.
But Mike, it sounds like your bigger objection is something I didn't understand, so that the officer who like pulls someone over, even if they are certified, they can't be the one operating. the
You
machine.
can, but they're not supposed to. You're not supposed to be
No.
if you issue the ticket, you're not supposed to be the operator too. To see if they're been drinking over the limit, if they're impaired. So that's my point, and to go off of that is everybody gonna be certified? I was the only one that was certified when I worked, and we didn't have a machine, but I did it regardless.
Well, this is action, but I think that we can follow up. With
Yeah,
that and
that's
find out.
yeah.
That would be great. Thank you. Any other comments, questions on the police chief's report? Fire chief's report? And the report emphasizes we are in a elevated fire danger situation now, and fires are prevented.
One question that I would ask Rick, if he's available, would be, do they follow, or does the DNR follow up with Rick, or does Rick follow up with the DNR? Like he's gonna turn in people for that uncontrolled burn or whatever. So does he follow up on that to see that they did their job or what? That'd be my question. Just be kind of, see, he says a slap on the wrist the first time, but if somebody's in violation numerous times, well, it's something, what happened?
If we can follow up on that, Michael. Any other things on the fire chief's report? The ambulance director's report? Okay. Okay, is there a unanimous consent to place these reports on file?
Yeah.
Now, public works, road stock and park, update on the back issues, everyone has Michael's memo on that.
I just wonder what them thinks is the best option. Do that,
Yeah, it's gonna require time, money, and possibly some surgery either way, but looking from the ice, probably if ice conditions allow,
Are you thinking about just a well, the one that's seen?
at least in places to fence. I'm not gonna say what's
Right.
repeated over and over, to prevent some of that.
Does the town have a well, or somebody who's capable of welding that?
And junior would probably be the best option for me.
Maybe hire, have to hire a professional. I just don't, I mean, by the time we get done fighting over warranty work and whatever, I mean, it might be easier for us to fix it ourselves and just be done with it. If we can fix it.
Did I hear you say that you would do that in the winter with ice conditions? or-
Yeah.
Okay. I just wasn't sure what I was hearing.
Prefer the ice conditions that we experienced recently wouldn't make that possible.
On ice cake.
Right, but it could be very possible at another time, so
Should we silicone pocket in the meantime?
I think we can do that. In-house. And make the effort, so to schedule that.
Sounds. I guess, I think.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So something, okay,
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna have to schedule anything for the sidewalk and stuff. You can see.
We'll wait for next meeting agenda.
Okay, I don't think we need to take any action on this. The next item is dock use by Apostle Islands Cruises. We also discussed in Michael's report. I don't think this is a good idea for us to allow safety reasons being one of them, the second one being you're opening the door then to outside people doing passenger ferry operations off of the town dock, and I'm not sure that the Harbor Commission would be very favorably inclined to have a competitor in place.
Well, many years ago, this came up and the ferry line did, I know in Michael's report, it said that there's nothing in the lease that they have, you know, that, but their issue was that if they were in, that if that boat came in or unloaded, that they'd be in the way of them doing their, and if we got into a heating contest over that issue. So, and that's what I could see happening again if we would approve something like this.
So is there a motion to either approve or deny the dock use by Apostle Islands Cruises on July 21st, 2023?
I'll make a motion to, I don't see the dates here. Okay, got it. I'll make a motion to deny the Apostle Island Cruises for using our dock on Saturday, January, July 21st, after 7 p.m. for a wedding charter.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
I'd like to have a discussion. I'd say that, were you in contact, because I think Shannon runs a business now. Were you in contact with her at all?
She's the one who made the request.
Did you talk to her?
Yes.
Because she knows, she was a very good operator, and she knows Tom Dock, and maybe she could enlighten us on how they would do it safely. And if, well, for one thing, we own Tom Dock, and as our insurance, you know, I don't know, like if somebody slipped and fell on Tom Dock getting off the boat or something. And these are the things that, if it was me, I would ask her, like,
Well, again, all I can tell you is she is very well aware of the operations. She's well aware of the risks of docking on that side of the town dock. She did say that if the weather conditions were not appropriate, they would cancel the trip. They would not try to do it. And so she seems to be very aware of what is possible and not possible.
okay,
When the town talked about it in 2014, and there were drafts made up, was there anybody talking to our insurance people like at
I
that
don't
time
recall that was mentioned at all.
for the suggested piece?
I believe there were. And there was, Gary Russell actually drafted a series of guidelines or whatever, very well thought out, I think, but it's kind of just disappeared. It was supposed to be taken up for consideration at a future meeting and seems to have vanished, so.
I guess that's what I'm saying is, the ferry line, the current ferry line would know more than we know on whether it would be interfering with their vessels, you know, running at that time of the evening.
Yeah, I have no idea with the expanded dock, whether that makes a difference or not. What conditions were, almost 10 years ago.
Well, maybe we can ask Gary for those guidelines.
If we want to open that door for other entities doing a ferry service.
Well, it'd just be nice, even if we don't open the door, it'd just be nice to know, be nice to have them out.
I'm sure it'd be nice to have, like, just, I'm not sure that we want to encourage ferry service. Anyhow, we have one second on the floor regarding this particular use, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on, 4B2, discussions with Meadowland Sanitary District regarding the RV dump station. Mike, do you want to speak to that? Or he and I, Mike and I attended a special meeting of the Meadowland Sanitary District Board of Commissioners. I think it was an excellent meeting. We came up with some possible action plans. It's obvious that that dump station generates a problem for the sanitary district. And we're trying to figure out what we can all do to reduce that problem. So
It gets a lot of use, it gets a lot more, I mean, they're down, as soon as it's light out in the morning, there's big rigs out there unloading, so it gets a lot of use in some of that.
we looked at in the department, the DNR, several page memo. Different things to think about. One of the things was to actually move the dump site, if you will, to something that was actually on the collection system.
So it is in better.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's,
And if we move it, we can charge fees, because the only reason why we can't charge fees is because it's on state there.
yeah, it's not, they don't have an easement, but we have an agreement with respect to state park, RVs. And whether or not, how that would work at a new location, I think is unclear, Michael, at this point, whether.
I mean, so we have a contract with one part of the DNR that says we are required to have an RV dump for free. And then the sanitary district is in trouble with another part of the DNR because their effluent levels are at risk of violating standards. And it's not clear to us that the two parts of the DNR are talking to each other. So we would, at the very least, we would need to get out of our current lease with the DNR. And then figure out what a solution is, perhaps to move it, allow us to charge fees. Who pays for it, all that kind of stuff needs to be worked out. And the DNR wants to see the town and the sanitary district cooperating. Town and the sanitary district wants to see the DNR cooperate. So.
Well, does everybody want to
Getting rid
get
of
investment, but you too, okay? I mean, we got, was not snookered, but we didn't get our end of the bargain right from the very beginning. We were supposed to get free passage in state right,
That other, yeah.
and
separate.
that never happened, or
Well, that was-
illegal, so.
yeah.
So how do we start getting out of our?
Yes, exactly.
Well, we're looking into that, and we're also in the meantime, trying to dilute the, what we're picking up from the RV dump station, like at about a 4-to-1 ratio with other, shower stuff from the state, from the town park, and, so that it will at least be a big improvement for them. But I think Michael's, you are going to be talking to our attorney about the agreement, if I understand.
Yeah.
Let me get back.
2 days.
And the other thing is, we're gonna have to work this arrangement that the sanitary district now has of diluting the pump out from that pump station. We're gonna have to work that into our contract with the Muller.
Right.
And so that will be complication probably in negotiation, because it's gonna be mandatory.
Right,
Do you recall what year we entered into that agreement?
1990.
with the DNR.
Well, yeah, the state park, yeah.
That was Elmer Nelson.
It was all.
It's in the nineties.
Because I mean, did I dream that you or somebody notified them and they agreed that this agreement was past due? And they said they didn't.
You may have heard that from the sanitary district.
Also,
I was gonna say, the DNR deals with, excuse me, who the sanitary district deals with, they said they thought that that agreement has run its course. However, that's the entities that cover the wastewater. You talk to the entities that cover the parks, they don't want to take any money out of their budget, just like every other government bureaucrat. So they're not quite on board with this. I mean, you're getting it for nothing. You paid to get a holding tank installed, and for the last 30-some years, it's been a free dump for them and their customers. At the same token, I do believe that since that agreement was signed, Big Bay State Park has expanded their campground. Not just the camping campground, but the RV campground. So I don't know if that comes into play with this agreement. If all of a sudden you increase your amount of customers, don't expect the agreement should stay, I don't believe it should stay the same. And whether you're gonna have to charge a little something to the state, they can pony up to just as well as the town can. Or if you have to get some money from the state to move this dump site to someplace on the collection system, that's not gonna piss off any neighbors. I don't know if Mike or Glenn, if you'd want to have a dump station next to your business or next to your home, but I'm not about to jam it down someone's throat. Also, it's not just the RV dump station, but it's also porta potties, including the town's porta potties, that also contribute to this problem.
Thank you. Okay, there is no action necessary. I'm giving you a good update on where things are. Any other questions? Okay, moving on. We've got a request to hire a person at Parks 2 position at $17 an hour.
I will make a motion to hire Zachary Hedican at Parks number 2 at $17 an hour, full-time temporary position, scheduled to begin June 19th, 2023 and end September 22nd, 2023.
I'll second.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Item 4C1, airport fee schedule. This was put on the agenda at our request at the last meeting. Is there any desire to modify the schedule at this point?
I was the one that requested that. I don't, my question would be, are these now, are they in place now, but the envelopes?
No, because we're waiting to see what kind of action you take tonight
Okay,
on fees.
but they would be able to be quickly in place.
Correct.
Okay. Because then I don't have a problem, because I don't think people will not pay as long as we've got a convenient way for them to pay without cash.
Okay.
I make a motion that we make these amendments. Second that.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next item, Greenwood Cemetery contract with Barony Residential and Commercial Cleaning. And this is for the chapel.
I will make a motion to enter into a contract with Bernie Residential Commercial Cleaning, Clean Chapel for contract.
Okay. Second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Let's see, we have the planning and zoning, but we really don't have anything in the plans. We did the public arts committee, so the next item is town hall administration. We have a special event permit for the indigenous market and music at Johnny's Beach, July 6th through the 9th. They previously get a rental permit. So this is just the additional permit for them being able to, actually sell things there.
And now,
I,
oh,
you can,
I had some comments, but I can wait.
I'll make a motion then. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the special event permit to Aiken Eight, Madeline Island, David, American.
Okay.
Moved and seconded, any discussion?
So my discussion would just be a clarification for in my mind. So not too long ago in the zoning, and we made it where people couldn't have like a vendor wagon on town property, and that was written into the
The drug seller.
yes. And so I'm assuming that the reason that they would be able to be having a vendor type thing is because it's a special event, and so is that
Correct.
something that's spelled out in the ordinance, that if it is for a special event, then it can be on town property?
It's allowed when we rent the pavilions, for example, so the Point Center. When they do the concert series, they have a special event to sell stuff. Fourth of July picnic, all those kind of activities.
They have special event permits.
Yes,
I guess what my question is, and I remember this being, because it was in 2020 and it was right when we were starting with our food wagon, trying to determine where we would be legally able to sell things. And so it was zoned at that time that nothing like that could be on town property and only could be on private property. And so that's why we're in the church parking lot and not like in the Jones Beach parking lot. And so I'm just wanting to make sure that the reason that, because I'm all for this, I'm fine with that, but I want to make sure that we're not stepping on our ordinances. So like, are we able to have a vendor there because it's a special permitted event?
You'd have to look at the definition of special, but I mean, when we discussed that, we said that people would be allowed if they had a special event permit.
Oh, we did that.
And so, I mean, I would assume there's a definition.
Okay, I mean, if you recall that, then I'm fine.
Yeah, that was what we discussed.
Because this was the one that we had at the ballpark, so if you, okay, then my,
It's
thank
similar
you,
to
Mike.
the.
Yeah, yeah.
If it was a special event, then we would have.
Okay. Then I'll make a motion that we.
It's already been, I'll second that, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, fireworks permit. Motion to fireworks
I
permit.
make a motion.
To, we give the.
Hollywood pyrotechnics.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, contract with Superior Plumbing and Mechanical for HVAC work as needed.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract with Superior Plumbing for HVAC as. I'll second.
Moved and seconded, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, revised proposal from Harmony Power for conversion of lease to perpetual easement. Yeah, this is,
I
not,
think it's like way less than what the other.
yeah,
No, it's more. If you go by half, the other one's 99-year lease, this is only 50. If you figure it out mathematically, it's actually more.
this is forever.
Forever.
No,
the current lease is 50 years.
it says 50 years.
So the difference is the first tower, they extended their lease to a 99-year lease.
Right.
Paid the rent in advance.
500.
This proposal is not to extend the lease. It is to buy out the lease essentially and be granted a perpetual easement. And so in doing that, they would give us
No,
the upfront payment.
I'll take you.
So they would have it forever.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, do we need to take action?
I think it would be helpful.
Okay, is there a motion to reject the proposal?
I will make a motion to reject the proposal of Harmony or Tower Alliance or whatever they call
I'll second.
And seconded, any discussion?
it. And give Mike the permission to vote.
Well, we could just go back to the regular lease, right?
Current lease will remain in effect, and it's renewed every 5 years. 1.5 increase in the rental rate.
Somebody's got to tell them that.
Which makes.
So they don't know that.
And you'll let them
No, I'll let
know.
them know that you rejected their offer.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
Nice try.
moved and seconded, I believe. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, extension of vacation hours for Administrator Michael Kupta.
I will make a motion to approve of the extension of vacation hours. The town administrator at 67.5 hours through May 31st, 2024.
Okay, something.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, 7 vouchers.
I will make a motion to approve the vouchers in the amount of $132,701.93.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, minutes, regular town board meeting, May 23rd, 2023.
There's a typo under administrative reports, you get 2 dollars.
The 88
That's all.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular town board meeting minutes from May 22nd, 23, and the special town board meeting minutes from Tuesday, June 6th, 2023, with the change of
I'll say it.
Moved and seconded, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9, emergency services. Item 1, police department, employment status of John Rolfe to move from full-time to part-time effective June 24th, 2023.
I'll make a motion to approve the request to move. From full-time to part-time status as requested.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, promotion of Tom Rosberger to full-time status.
I will make a motion to promote Tom Rosberger to full-time status as requested.
Second.
Effective June 23rd. Moved and seconded, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, fire department.
Supplemental, it's 2 weeks vacation, is that okay? Okay.
And the wage.
Yes.
I just,
Yeah. For the 2 weeks in the wage. Okay, fire department authorization, and this is
Certainly.
Yeah,
Just
please.
so the board knows, our third officer has been informed that he's not going to pass probation, so. We're aware of that, and the chief and the sergeant are working to try to get staff up to snuff.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next item, fire department authorization of credit card with 5,000 limit, and I think that's for red, right?
Correct.
so this is just for, so does he have a credit card now?
It had to be decommissioned when he had to retire. Because when he retired from the state job, he was barred from having public employment for whatever number of days it is. So he has worn out that period, and so he is back with the fire department, and so it's essentially reauthorizing the card he had previously.
Just making it public.
I'll make a motion to authorize Tim Elwood to reinstate his credit card at $5,000.
I'll second.
and seconded, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, update on emergency services building issues. Like, and everyone has Michael's memo on this. This is really just, I think, mostly information. I don't see where we need to take action on this at all. Right, any comments, questions on that?
I have a really quick comment that I'm speaking like this. I like these memos that you prepared for us for today's meeting. I usually go to this, but it's nice to be able to have them right in order. So thank you for doing that. You gave us a couple of these and they're really nice. So thank you.
I do have a question or a comment. On the last paragraph, Michael, under for these days, and then you have in parentheses under warranty. So we're gonna get this, I don't want another comment made like when our public comment about, you know, things getting by that were under warranty that weren't done under warranty. So are we see?
Wendell has assured us this will be done under warranty. It is their belief that Johnson Controls did not do their job, finish the installation of the system.
Okay,
So they have assured us that it will be done under warranty. And as far as warranty is done with the generator, then found the language which we believe that at least part of the repair will be under warranty, perhaps all, but
I just don't want to take advantage of this.
Any other comments? Next item, emergency services week, and I think I asked that be on the agenda. We were advised, and I think that week is probably passed, but yeah, that we acknowledge our emergency services and all the great work that they do, and they certainly deserve at least a week of recognition. Okay, next item, public comment B. Is there any further public comment, Paul?
Well, I was going to comment about the sanitary district and the meeting, but I was able to squeeze it in before I got cut off. But just as an observation, it just seems odd to me, the town will allow retail sales with a special event permit on town land, but they're not going to allow chairs or picnic tables on town park. It's an observation.
Thank you, Paul. And I would say, from my standpoint, I would be more than happy to allow Grandpa Tony's at $125 a day to, you know, whatever we charge for rental of the parkland. I don't think that we need to do that, but
Well, why don't you allow give Grandpa Tony's a special event permit? A lot cheaper than $125 a day.
well, it's, yeah, thank you, Paul. Okay, next item, liquor and operators licenses. We have several.
Can you do them by class?
But yes, like the letter A is fine for all three of those.
Okay.
We don't have to read the names.
Once, one person, like if you write on what's not eligible.
Okay, so the first one is for combination class A liquor license, class A fermented beverage license. For the Market Beats, Venus agent, BC Ash agent, and Mr. Coffee House, Marino agent.
I make a motion to approve the combination classic license.
I'll second.
Moved in second, any discussion? Fair say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is class B retail sale of fermented malt beverages license. The Madeline Island Golf Club, Michael Stark agent, Rock House Food Truck. Linda and Eva Erickson from the period 6/14 to 6/30, and also for their annual license.
I will make a motion to approve the class B retail license.
Second.
A little bit of discussion.
Oh.
Now, how come lock house is,
So they previously got 6-month licenses, which are no longer an option that you guys changed with the fee schedule. And so instead of waiting till July 1st to be able to sell their beer and wine, they want to be able to start tomorrow. And so, they got prorated, they just paid for that.
2 weeks.
2 weeks or whatever,
Okay.
so that they can, since it wasn't an option.
got it, okay.
And then, one of these, I just have to make sure there's a Secretary District payment.
Yes.
Moved and seconded, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, Class C wine license, Rock House Food Truck, Lane of Benviva Erickson, also 6/14 through 6/30, and then for an annual license.
I will make a motion to approve Class C wine license.
Second,
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, cigarette and tobacco license for the Island Market.
I will make a motion to approve the cigarette tobacco license.
second,
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, non-intoxicating beverage license for Island Market, Inc., Madeline Island Golf Club, Inc., Madeline Island Yacht Club, Mission Hill and Provisions, Rock House Food Trucks, Scooters.
I will make a motion to approve the non-intoxicating beverage license as presented.
second,
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
fine,
Opposed? And next, operators licenses for Charlie Campbell, Kai Castillo, Anthony Jeanette, Bruce McClellan, Savannah Newton, Nancy Sandstrom, and Ronald Spokane Jr.
I will make a motion to approve the operator license as presented.
second,
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Lawsuits and legal. Other
Nothing outside of Ashland County rejected our claim, but we have yet to receive a formal notification. Which is fine, it just means there's a longer timeline if we decide.
Didn't we, were we gonna hear something back from the Department of Revenue? Like in
July 24th is the deadline for them.
Okay. Any other questions on lawsuits and legal? So we're not really going to make any decision on the Ashland County suit until after we know what's happening with the Department of Revenue. New agenda items for future meetings. One is the changing of the time for town board meetings to 5 o'clock.
but will that next meeting be changed?
No, the next meeting will still be at 5:30. Any other new agenda items?
Well, can we talk about this? Part-time parking, intermittent commercial use, can we get that information from Gary?
Oh, for the, very well, sure. You want that on the agenda?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank
You can ask him, well, I'm assuming Michael's gonna do it. You could ask and say, I forget how many years ago it was. And
No, and we have that paperwork.
So just if we can get
Yeah,
it back.
they were adamantly opposed to it. And I can't remember why. I don't recall all the details, but, you know, you can ask them. I'll ask them.
I'm gonna simply just circulate the guidelines that were
Yeah, that's what I.
floated.
But it made sense why, and I think it was something to do with the interference of their landing, like. Whatever it was, it made sense at the time, so, and I just don't. know what's it. That's all.
Do
Any
you
other?
need an agenda item, or do you want to just get the information?
You can put it in this report.
Yeah, and his report's fine. And then if anything comes up from after you read the information, like, yeah.
Can we add reposting a request for proposal for the sidewalk?
Well,
We would just,
I think it will automatically do it.
Oh, will it? Okay, I didn't know that.
I think we'll just repost and this last meeting, we had an extra week. I don't know if we'll be able to open at the next meeting because I don't have enough time.
Okay, but it will be posted.
anything else?
Did we look at that thing? Just focusing.
Going crazy, isn't it?
Well, when Paul was talking and focused in on them. People, when Jim got up over here, he focused in on them.
Thanks for the.
Oh, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, and you know, frankly, the amount that we were asking for the rental on the thing was not much more than the special event permit anyhow. It was $225 for the whole year. Anyhow, that is it. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
At least you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.